There's never a dull moment when it comes to Sig Hansen. He's one of those larger-than-life personalities who always seems to be at the center of attention, whether he wants to be or not. Sig enjoys being the man of the hour, the captain in control, the leader in the spotlight. But sometimes, that same energy leads him into situations he'd rather forget. Recently, he found himself in serious trouble after a disturbing altercation with an Uber driver, a moment that landed him in headlines for all the wrong reasons. Following an outpouring of criticism on social media and a brief stint in jail, Sig finally decided to share his side of the story. According to police reports, the incident took place in Ballard, a Seattle neighborhood, when the driver picked up Sig and 3 companions for a ride to Shoreline. Things went downhill fast when the driver claimed that the ride had been canceled through the app, sparking a heated argument over payment. Words escalated, and in a shocking turn, Sig allegedly kicked a dent into the rear passenger side of the car and even spat on the driver. Startled and upset, the driver immediately called 911. When officers arrived, they confirmed the driver's account, discovering a dented fender and traces of spit on the headrest. Police then tracked Sig to the address where he had been dropped off in Shoreline. Upon questioning, he denied that any confrontation had taken place, explaining that he had merely been celebrating Norwegian Independence Day. However, things quickly got tense. According to reports, Sig clapped his hands at officers, saying the conversation was over. The situation escalated until 2 police officers had to restrain and handcuff him. Eventually, Sig reached a settlement, issued an apology to both the driver and his fans, and expressed deep regret for letting things spiral out of control. To truly understand Sig Hansen, though, it's essential to look back at his roots. Sigurd Johnny Hansen was born on April 28, 1966, in Seattle, Washington, to Norwegian-born parents Sverre and Snefrid Hansen. From the very beginning, the ocean was part of his DNA. In the Hansen household, fishing wasn't merely a job, it was a legacy, a way of life passed down through generations. Their home was filled with the sounds and scents of the sea, the salt in the air, the hum of diesel engines, and the crash of waves against the docks. As the eldest of 3 brothers, Edgar and Norman being the younger 2, Sig grew up in the Norwegian-heavy community of Ballard. While most kids were spending weekends at movie theaters or playing in the park, Sig could be found at the docks, watching his father's boat sway with the tide. By the time he was strong enough to carry a bucket, he was already part of the crew. School never held his interest. The classroom walls felt too tight compared to the endless horizon of the sea. He preferred learning from older fishermen who taught him how to read the wind, set crab pots, and sense danger in the air. By his early 20s, Sig's passion had turned into a profession. At just 22 years old, he became a relief skipper, trusted to take the helm when others couldn't. 2 years later, at 24, he was officially named captain of the Northwestern, the family's beloved fishing vessel. It was no small achievement. Navigating through treacherous, icy waters, commanding a crew in the face of storms, and risking everything in crab season required courage and instinct, and Sig had both. Under his leadership, the Northwestern became one of the most respected ships in Alaska's crab fishing industry. Over time, the vessel was modified and reinforced to withstand the brutal conditions of the Bering Sea. But what truly set it apart was the man behind the wheel. At home, life wasn't as steady as the sea. Sig married Lisa Ekstrom, with whom he had a daughter, Melissa. Unfortunately, their relationship ended in a difficult divorce. Later, he found love again with June Hansen, and together they adopted 2 daughters, Mandy and Nina. Of the 2, only Mandy followed in her father's footsteps, boldly joining him aboard the Northwestern, continuing the family's maritime legacy. When Discovery Channel launched Deadliest Catch in the early 2000s, the goal was to showcase the real, unfiltered lives of Alaskan crab fishermen. Naturally, Sig Hansen and the Northwestern were a perfect fit. Fearless, skilled, and already a legend among fishermen, Sig didn't hesitate to sign on. But with one condition: the show had to portray the reality of their work, not a glamorized version. He wanted viewers to see the exhaustion, the danger, and the sacrifice behind every haul. When Deadliest Catch premiered in 2005, Sig's charisma immediately drew audiences in. He had a magnetic presence, one moment barking orders through the storm, the next flashing a reassuring smile. Even in the harshest conditions, when ice covered the decks and tempers ran high, Sig stayed calm and optimistic. His leadership and authenticity made him a fan favorite and a central figure of the show. Beyond appearing on screen, Sig also worked as a technical consultant, ensuring the series accurately depicted the dangers of crab fishing and the intense teamwork it required. Over the years, Deadliest Catch became a cultural phenomenon, and the Northwestern a symbol of resilience and determination. Sig often reminded people that success at sea wasn't just about experience, it was about having a strong, loyal crew. "Your style changes with the crew," he once said. "Get a good one, that's the hardest part of the job." Even after decades at sea, Sig's story didn't end there. He later appeared in the spin-off Deadliest Catch. The Viking returns, traveling to Norway to reconnect with his ancestral roots. With stricter fishing quotas in Alaska, this move represented both a professional challenge and a personal homecoming. Fans watched as he navigated new waters, honoring his family's legacy while forging a new path forward. Of course, not every day on the Bering Sea is filled with danger. There were moments of laughter and levity, too. Crew members often pulled pranks to break up the tension, like the time Jonathan Hillstrand placed a fake alligator head in one of their crab pots, leaving everyone momentarily convinced they had discovered a prehistoric creature. Sig even joked once about seeing a mermaid, admitting that months at sea can make anyone a little loopy. Today, Sig Hansen's net worth is estimated to be around $4 million, a figure built from years of hard work, leadership, and relentless determination. It's not Hollywood money, but for a man who built his life from salt, steel, and sea spray, it's a testament to success earned the hard way. His fortune comes mainly from the Northwestern, the boat that turned him from a Seattle fisherman into an international television icon. Through triumphs, storms, and controversies alike, Sig Hansen remains the heart and soul of Deadliest Catch, a man forever tied to the ocean that both tests and defines him. The sea is as unpredictable as it is powerful. Some days it offers abundance, while on others, there's barely enough catch to cover fuel and repair costs. Yet, despite the uncertainty, Sig Hansen has always worked tirelessly to give his family a life of stability and comfort. His years on Deadliest Catch not only made him a household name, but also opened new streams of income. As one of the show's most recognized captains, Sig earns from his appearances, royalties, and various spin-offs. Beyond television, he co-authored the best-selling book North by Northwestern, where he shared stories from his remarkable journey, lessons learned through decades of braving the ocean's merciless temperament. Adding to his list of accomplishments, Sig even lent his voice to the character Krabby in Pixar's Cars 2. A lighthearted twist of fate for a man who'd spent most of his life battling danger at sea. That's what makes Sig Hansen fascinating. His ability to adapt, evolve, and never let himself be defined by one chapter alone. Despite earning millions, Sig remains grounded. He understands better than anyone that the sea can humble even the strongest man. His fortune wasn't made in offices or cushy boardrooms. It was earned on icy decks, in roaring storms, and through years of endurance and sacrifice. For Sig, true wealth has little to do with money. It's about building a legacy, taking care of his family, and knowing his daughter will carry the Hansen name forward. Every dollar he's made represents long hours, risks taken, and challenges overcome. However, time and hardship have shown fans that even the toughest captains are human. In March 2016, while filming Deadliest Catch, Sig suffered a heart attack aboard the Northwestern. One moment, he was shouting commands as waves crashed violently against the deck. The next, he clutched his chest in unbearable pain. The crew acted fast, airlifting him to a hospital in Anchorage, where doctors found a blocked artery. They told him that if he had ignored the pain for just a few more minutes, he likely wouldn't have survived. The experience deeply changed him. Although he was advised to stay off the ocean, Sig couldn't walk away. The sea was in his blood. After recovery, he returned to the Northwestern as if nothing had happened. Yet life tested him again. 2 years later, in 2018, Sig suffered a severe allergic reaction to an antibiotic meant to treat a sinus infection. What began as a routine treatment spiraled into a life-threatening crisis. He went into shock and was rushed back to the hospital. Not long after, he slipped on ice and broke his nose, a seemingly minor accident that led to a serious facial infection. His face swelled painfully, and once again he came close to the edge. These experiences taught him how fragile life truly is. Then, in 2019, came another devastating blow. His wife, June, was diagnosed with cancer. The news struck him while he was out at sea, far from home and powerless to help. For the first time, the strong, stoic fisherman found himself truly helpless. He took time off to care for her, discovering new layers of her strength and grace along the way. June became his source of inspiration. These personal battles made Sig slow down and reflect. He began to value his health and his family more than ever before, giving up smoking and learning to listen to his body. Still, even with all the warnings, the sea called him back. Fishing wasn't just a job. It was his identity, something too deeply rooted to abandon. Despite his tough exterior, Sig has admitted to having fears. His greatest one as a captain isn't the waves or the cold, it's fire. He's also confessed that he isn't the best swimmer. "I can swim, just not very far," he once said jokingly. "When we were in Hawaii, my wife actually saved my life. I was turning blue and she rescued me." That moment humbled him even more. Later, during a terrifying incident, flames broke out in the Northwestern's engine room, and his daughter Mandy was aboard. The panic he felt was unimaginable. Not only did he have to worry about his own life, but also about saving his daughter. Fortunately, the crew acted swiftly, extinguishing the fire before it turned catastrophic. Storms at sea are another nightmare Sig knows too well. He once described how the waves can hit the Northwestern with the force of a 5-story building. "It's no fun being stuck in a storm," he said. "You just have to wait. Maybe 8 hours, maybe 3 days, and do your best to stay safe." Out there, surrounded by nothing but the ocean's fury, there's no hospital, no quick rescue. When injuries happen, the crew often become their own medics, even surgeons, doing whatever it takes to survive. Over the years, Sig has learned how to navigate such storms and often advises younger fishermen about safety. "When ice starts building on your boat, stop and break it off," he warns. "Once it builds too much, it's like a snowball. And when it gets too big, you can't stop it." In recent years, Sig has spoken more openly about retirement, though not in the traditional sense. "Do I look weak to you?" "No, I think I'll be around for a while," he joked. "I'm not giving my brother Edgar the satisfaction of taking the boat just yet." Despite his humor, he admits that the cold months are harder now and that time is catching up with him. Fans often sympathize with Edgar, but Sig has defended his brother, saying, "They treat him like a baby. Stop it. He's a grown man." For Sig, retirement isn't about quitting. It's about letting go emotionally. "Fishing isn't what I do, it's who I am," he says. He once claimed he'd fish until his body couldn't take it anymore, but health scares and family time have softened that stance. He's more cautious now, fully aware that each risk could cost dearly. Commercial fishermen, he notes, don't have pensions or safety nets. Once you're done, you're done. Fortunately, his work on Deadliest catch and other ventures has given him stability that many don't have. Still, the thought of stepping away from the sea lingers painfully. Today, Sig talks about wanting to spend more time with June and their grandchildren, to make up for years lost to the ocean. The man who once felt married to his boat now finds peace at home, yet a part of him will always belong to the waves. "Every time I see the sea and feel a storm coming, something stirs inside me," he admits. The ocean still calls his name. Sig says he'll keep fishing for a few more years, though beneath his laughter lies the quiet acceptance that his time is winding down. When he finally steps off the Northwestern for the last time, it won't mark an ending but a passing of the torch. His daughter Mandy is already proving herself capable of carrying the Hansen legacy forward. When that day comes, it won't be a farewell. It will be a new chapter in the story of the sea. The ocean will never forget Captain Sig Hansen, whose name will echo through every crashing wave, every icy wind, and every fisherman brave enough to follow in his wake. Over the years, Sig Hansen has come to see his time on deck not merely as a profession, but as a living legacy meant to be passed down through generations. Fishing is in his blood, and the Northwestern isn't just a vessel, It's a symbol of everything he's built through decades of relentless dedication. Sig often spoke proudly about how meaningful it would be to watch his daughter, Mandy Hansen, continue that family tradition at sea. For him, retirement doesn't mean disappearing into the background or abandoning what he loves. It means stepping back just enough to guide, mentor, and pass on his knowledge from the sidelines. His dream is to one day hand over complete ownership of the Northwestern to Mandy, a new captain ready to carry forward what he started long ago. Still, Sig admits that letting go of the wheel will be one of the hardest things he's ever had to do. The sea is part of who he is. It has shaped him, tested him, and reminded him of every storm he's survived and every victory he's earned. But he also knows that every sailor eventually reaches a point where the ocean asks them to rest. Time has begun to weigh on him. The long nights, the unrelenting waves, and the backbreaking work have all taken their toll. Each climb up the narrow ladders feels steeper, each trip heavier. He's reminded daily that age, like the tide, cannot be stopped. Yet for Sig, retirement doesn't mean throwing in the towel. Instead, it's a gradual shift, a chance to breathe, to spend more moments with family, and to embrace a slower, more peaceful rhythm. He looks forward to days spent with his grandchild and dreams of calm ocean journeys far removed from the chaos of crab season. He imagines gentle waves, laughter, and long conversations, moments that remind him of the old days without the relentless danger. Still, stepping away completely isn't easy. Every time a new season of Deadliest Catch begins filming, Sig feels that same familiar pull, the urge to return to the sea that has defined his entire life. He often says it's the simple things that keep him going, the roar of the engines, the sting of salt in the air, and the thrill of chasing crab in icy waters. These are sensations only fishermen truly understand. Even when he talks about slowing down, part of him isn't ready to stop. In recent years, though, Sig has begun mentoring younger crew members as part of his transition into retirement, teaching them how to read the sea, how to stay safe, and how to respond when danger strikes has become his new purpose. One of those young men is Dwyer, a 23-year-old fisherman to whom Sig entrusted his beardy quota. Their partnership was as much a business move as it was a mentorship. Dwyer wanted to bring his late father's boat, the Brina A, back into the crabbing world, while Sig needed someone young and driven to take on the challenge. Sig admitted that he gave the quota away because he didn't want to take the risk himself within the tight schedule they had. "If you've got a hungry young guy," he said, "he'll give it everything." And that's exactly what Dwyer did. For him, it was an opportunity of a lifetime, a chance to prove himself and revive his father's legacy. Under Sig's watchful eye, Dwyer learned not only how to fish, but how to build a reputation. "Birdie isn't the most glamorous thing to catch," Sig told him, "but once you're known for doing that, people notice, and that's how you build your name." Before Sig's call, Dwyer had never fished for crab in front of a camera crew. The pressure was immense, but Sig coached him through it, reminding him to stay genuine. "Don't act," he advised. "Just be yourself. Out here, there's nowhere to hide. You can't go to your room and think about what to say. You just say it." Sig's mentorship doesn't end with Dwyer. His daughter Mandy Hansen has also joined him on deck for several seasons. Working alongside her has been a surreal and emotional experience for Sig. He's watched her grow into a capable seafarer, mastering new skills and showing a determination that mirrors his own. In recent seasons, she's taken on more educational roles, an experience Sig describes as eye-opening for both of them. "She got to see me in the wheelhouse in a different light," he said, "and I got to see her in a different light too." Though Mandy loves being on deck and working with her hands, she's also pursuing her third mate unlimited license, an essential step toward eventually taking command of the Northwestern herself. Sig knows that someday, the Northwestern and Deadliest Catch will continue without him, but never quite the same. Still, he finds peace in knowing that his lessons, values, and leadership will live on through those he's trained. Beyond the deck, Sig has also begun to think about a life after television. He's grown comfortable with the fame that came from Deadliest Catch, but he wants to use it to tell deeper stories about life at sea, the courage, the heartbreak, the humor, and the human spirit that drives every fisherman. He's even considered writing a book to capture that side of the story, revealing not just the physical strength required for the job, but also the emotional resilience behind it. Though no one knows exactly when Sig Hansen will finally retire, it's clear that he's preparing for it quietly and deliberately. He's not the kind of man to seek attention or throw a grand farewell. When the moment comes, he'll likely dock the Northwestern one last time, step off the deck, and take a final, thoughtful look at the ship that carried his dreams across the waves. He might run his hand along the weathered railings, rails that have witnessed storms, triumphs, and near disasters, and then simply walk away, calm and unshaken with the quiet dignity that has always defined him. For Sig, it won't be about applause or headlines. It will be about closure, knowing he gave everything to the sea, his crew, and his family. His true legacy isn't in the tons of crab he's caught or the episodes he's starred in, but in the lives he's influenced, the lessons he's taught, and the spirit he's instilled in the next generation. Long after he's gone, the Northwestern will still sail the Bering Sea, carrying not just crab pots and crew, but the soul of a captain who never gave up, who faced the sea with courage and humility, and whose story will live on far beyond the waves. Even as Sig Hansen begins to reflect on what comes next, he finds himself caught between two worlds, the relentless pull of the sea and the quiet comfort of home. The ocean has always been more than a workplace to him. It's been a companion, a teacher, and sometimes even an adversary. Every storm, every lost pot, every sleepless night has shaped the man he's become. But now, with each new dawn, he feels a stronger desire to be present for the people who have waited on shore all these years. His wife, his daughter, and now his grandchild remind him that life has chapters beyond the deck of the Northwestern. He often talks about how much he looks forward to simple things: breakfast at home without worrying about tides, phone calls that aren't cut short by static, and moments where he can finally rest without the hum of the engine in his ears. Yet even then, the ocean calls him back in quiet ways. The sound of seagulls, the sight of a passing boat, or the smell of salt in the air stirs something deep within him. It's not easy to walk away from the very thing that has given his life meaning. But Sig understands that true legacy isn't just about holding on. It's about knowing when to let go. Still, Sig refuses to fade quietly into retirement. He continues to play a vital role behind the scenes of Deadliest Catch, advising newer captains and helping the production team stay true to the show's roots. He believes that authenticity is what made the series powerful in the first place. Every bruise, every frostbitten hand, every near miss was real, and that reality is what he wants preserved. He's passionate about showing future audiences what the fishing life truly means, not just the danger, but the deep sense of purpose that keeps fishermen coming back season after season. Sig has also begun exploring new creative outlets to share his experiences. Whether it's through documentaries, books, or interviews, he's determined to tell the human side of fishing, the stories of fear, faith, humor, and heartbreak that define those who risk everything on the open sea. For him, it's important that people understand that fishermen are more than rugged adventurers chasing crab pots. They are fathers, sons, and dreamers trying to carve a living from one of nature's most unforgiving frontiers. Mandy, too, has inspired Sig to look at the industry with renewed hope. Watching her step into leadership, tackle challenges head-on, and hold her own among veteran crew members fills him with pride. It reminds him that the Hansen name will continue to stand for resilience and integrity long after he steps back. He often says that seeing Mandy thrive gives him the courage to slow down, knowing that the Northwestern will remain in capable hands. She represents not just his daughter, but the future of their family's maritime legacy. Though Sig's retirement may still be on the horizon, there's no doubt he's steering toward it with intention and grace. When that final day comes, he won't make a speech or call a press conference. He'll likely rise before dawn, as he's done his whole life, sip his coffee in silence, and take one last look at the vessel that carried his name across television screens and ocean storms alike. Then, with a quiet nod to the sea that made him who he is, he'll step away. Not in defeat, but in fulfillment. His legacy will continue not just through Mandy or the Northwestern, but through every fisherman who watched him, learned from him, and found strength in his unwavering dedication. For fans of Deadliest Catch, Sig Hansen will always be more than a captain. He'll be a symbol of grit, leadership, and respect for the sea. And while the tides may eventually erase footprints on the deck, the memory of Captain Sig Hansen will remain etched in the heart of every wave, carried forward by those who dare to chase the horizon just like he did.